On more on this topic is Congressman Carlos Gimenez, Republican from Florida. Congressman, good to see you, and thank you so much for taking the time. To set this up is how important this topic is. The CDC reporting that fentanyl is the leading cause of death for those aged 18 to 45, and it could be 100 times more potent than morphine. So the question is, how did this become partisan?
I don't know why it became partisan, because I guess it's because most of it is coming through the southern border, and the Democrats and Joe Biden administration has chosen to ignore what's happening at the southern border. His policies have created this crisis. Look, fentanyl kills more people in that age range than COVID, than auto crashes and suicides. And so it's a huge problem, killing thousands and thousands of Americans, this year, last year, and next year, because, the Biden administration refuses to solve the problem at the, at the border. And look, we know what we've caught in fentanyl, what we've actually caught could kill every single American 7 times over. So can you imagine what we haven't seen and what we haven't caught and what's really coming through that border? And so it's a huge problem. It's almost an act of war that the cartels are really waging on the U.S. Remember, we only lost 3,000 people during 9/11, and now we're killing tens of thousands of Americans with this fentanyl overdoses.
Congressional leaders brought that up earlier in just stressing how important it is. In fact, the National Institute on Drug Abuse says this: last year, 75% of cocaine overdoses were with mixed use with fentanyl. So fentanyl, how it's destroying that population, it's being laced within cocaine use. Fellow Florida Congresswoman Kat Cammack blasting the left on this one, accusing them of ignoring this opioid epidemic. Here's that.
Unless you have been living under a rock, you know that we are in what many are calling the third wave of the American opioid epidemic, which has taken hundreds of thousands of lives. Had our Democrat colleagues taken me up on our ride-along challenge, they would have seen firsthand the drugs that are free-flowing across the southwest border, courtesy of trafficker-in-chief Biden, that are coming into our communities.
Harsh words there. Cammack's criticism coming after the House blocked a bill that would stem the flow of fentanyl coming into this country. Do you still see hope for that bill? Are there going to be changes to it? What's next?
Look, I mean, the American people have to rise up and say enough of this, and all of it is really kind of based in what's going on in the southern border. All this stuff is coming through the southern border. It's being produced in China and then flows through the southern border with the cartels, and then they use, these hundreds of thousands of migrants that are coming through as a cover, either to divert our patrol agents because there's so many that are coming through to one area and then they can flood through another area, or they actually are using them as mules. And so, this whole crisis started with the Biden administration's decision to, overturn a lot of the successful Trump administration policies that had really gotten kind of control the southern border. We need to go back to those policies. We need to finish the wall. We're actually paying people not to build the wall, which is crazy. We need to get more Border Patrol agents down there. We need newer technology, and then also these policies that remain in Mexico, et cetera. Those have to be reinstituted, and we really need to start focusing in on this huge problem, which is fentanyl, which is killing, as Kat said, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Americans. And it's going under the radar because it's one here, one there, all across the country. But when you add them all up, it's a huge number and a huge problem, and we need to take care of it.
Congressman Carlos Gimenez joining us live. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.